あなたのために日本の輸入ビデオゲームの楽しみの時間 bn-game.com
Hi everyone, this is Bobby from bn-games.com and we're here doing another episode of Region Locked, and today we're playing Poppin Twinbee for the Super Famicom.
You don't understand how hard he was trying not to say classic capture quickly.
Seriously.
I saw the hesitation.
I was about to start doing cue cards.
This is Poppin Twinbee for the Super or Famicom, or to some the Super Famicom.
How's it the Famicom?
Super Famicom.
I've heard people call it Famicom. Maybe from the East Coast.
Those people are idiots.
I've never heard someone call a Super Famicom.
Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Hey, it's a foreign Super Nintendo. That's all you goddamn need to know.
It's built a lot better than us. So.
The Famicom was this, well, like I said, this foreign Super Nintendo, where we got the weird grayish.
The Famicom was
the foreign Nintendo. We got the Super Famicom, which is a foreign Super Nintendo.
Check.
Yes, I said the Super Famicom.
No, you said the Famicom, but let's continue.
Okay, whatever. That's what I meant to say. Super Famicom was actually the standard in both Europe and Asian territories. And we, like I said, we got the weird white grayish box
with purple.
And they got a really cool looking
rainbow
roundish kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're essentially the same hardware. And most of the parts are interchangeable. In fact, the cartridges are just differently shaped. And if you modify your Super Nintendo, your North American one, you can actually put Super Famicom carts in it.
Or buy the adapter.
Or buy an adapter. That's more common. Or you could, you know, not be a cheap ass and buy the real thing. Yeah, it's in there. So, Poppin Twinbee, this is our first our import video for the Super Famicom. And Poppin Twinbee is a shmup. It's a shooter for those not know.
It is a crazy shooter, I'm gonna tell you.
Yes, I'm playing as player 1, Mike is playing as player 2.
I think colors would help us out a little bit more.
I am pink, he is blue.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Son of a... Yeah, he went there.
And, so, one thing to note here is the power-ups are governed by these bells, and that's a really interesting mechanic. You shoot the bells with your energy, and they change colors eventually, and each color gives you a different kind of ability or power-up. So, golden bells are points only. Silver bells give you what Mike refers to as a snowball.
Yeah. Cloud, snowball, what do you want to call it?
Yeah,
but it's an upgraded weapon.
You get your R-type, secondary thing.
The purple is what gives Bobby that three-way shot.
The sonic boom.
No,
Razor Leaf.
Yeah,
Is better. Yes.
I'm gonna say we took it.
To me, you're a fact check. Checking the facts.
I know the blue bell. No, the pink bell. Is it the pink bell or the blue bell that gives you the shield?
Pink bell.
Pink bell gives you the shield.
And the most sought after is the green
one,
because that gives you the secondary. And you get multiple. At some point, I had I think 3 or 4, which was crazy because all you see is fire coming out of me. But the game is insane. There's just so many things right now. This is the first.
This is really slow.
This is really slow. By the time you get in, it's like what? Where is it coming from? And like that's your special weapon. I don't know what those are. I think they're like teddy bears.
Yes.
I don't know.
What are you supposed to be?
I don't know, but when you're using your little bomb,
chibi robot. Mm-hmm.
Well, you could shoot. I can do my bomb. I cannot shoot.
That's true. Well, no. It depends on how many of those little your secondaries you have. I've noticed.
No, because I have 0 and still not be able to shoot.
Okay.
I think it's just mine.
Well, regardless, it's one of those things. When you do the bomb thing, it kills everything anyway. You just want to dodge obstacles. You'll also notice there's some stuff that's in the background or on a bottom plane, and those can be fired on with the Y button. It's like a secondary
ground
fire.
attack. Yeah.
Those types of enemies, for the most part, don't bother you. You can mostly avoid them in most of the levels that we've played.
But what I like about it is it actually gives you something else to shoot.
That's true, and it gives you another depth that you need to kind of focus on. But like I said, most of the levels you don't have to worry about it. Although
all the bells are in it.
Yeah, the bells will come randomly and definitely at the end of a boss. And there's always a boss at the end of the level. And there's a little bit of slowdown for every boss, but other than the slowdown for the boss loading, everything else is like extremely fast.
Yeah.
It's smooth. The controls are great. And even when things are going crazy insane, when you're trying to, stay alive, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. I also want to mention this is the sixth game in the series. There's a number of games, some on the Game Boy, a couple that were ported to the PS1. There are 2 on the Super Famicom, this one, and there's an adventure game. It's not a shooter.
Assholes. I'm trying to kill the pirate and his family. It's like, what is
It's
Well,
almost,
he keeps chucking his freaking
That's actually
cannonballs
that's
everywhere.
the Walmart smiley face. Actually.
it's almost as bad as when we were playing Dead Island and we went and knocked that guy's house in,
Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
we broke his skull. People were very bothered by that.
Yes. Now we've killed pirates. Everyone's gonna unsubscribe.
In fact, people made whole fictions about the guy. The guy was probably going to go visit his family.
That's true.
later
They
that
were
day.
in the comments.
They were like, "Oh man, this guy was probably going to go visit his family. Looks like he was resting up, and you just come in and bash his skull in."
Now I feel bad.
And you'll notice. You'll
That's
notice that after the end of the level, there's a rule. If you watched any kind of Japanese cartoons or anime,
It's an interlude.
the interlude is very, very reminiscent of it. And it's a nice touch. For anyone who's a fan of that kind of thing. And the sprites are great. And everything about this, it's colorful.
Very colorful, very clean looking.
Yeah, this game is horribly addicting. But...
Now, speaking of price, so it's a more sought after cart. Obviously we're raving about it, and and since it's only been released in Japan, it's one of those things that's going to probably cost you a bit of money. Generally speaking, the cart goes from anywhere from $30 to $60, depending if you get the actual box. I was lucky; I got it for $12 because someone misspelled the name. But it's one of those things where you probably
You ruined their family. They were gonna treat their family to dinner. They were gonna take them and buy them nice
He was finally
clothes.
going to buy his child a 20-piece.
Yes, he was gonna buy him a
Dang.
20-piece, and you ruined that.
well,
buy.
if he's going to buy a 10-piece, it's only 10 cents more. Stop being a cheap ass.
But it's the meal, man. 39 cents more, you get it. The large fries.
Yeah, no, but you didn't want to give those 39 extra cents. Nope, just only the
And then
$12.
that extra dollar for that, any size drink.
And what about those extra sauces you could have purchased?
And you go to the store and you buy Bullseye. You buy a damn
Well, you
bottle.
can't afford that now that you give him
Yeah.
just $12.
Well, you
What
know
if he was going to buy his 20-piece and then go buy a thing of Bullseye, huh? God.
Yeah, the 20 piece with no
Hey,
bullseye.
this is if they're not dogs, cats, rabbits, birds, turtles.
Well, what if he was going to feed his animals?
Okay, that's a different story. Then I really.
What
feel
if he
bad.
needed to feed his turtle?
Are you gonna do that one pet adoption commercial? You know which one.
Sarah
I'm talking
McLachlan going on, yeah.
Then I would feel bad, but if it's children, figure it out.
It's just going to be
Get a job.
I got the Sarah McLachlan song
It's
just
just
playing in my head right now.
It's just- well, imagine that, but just with a whole bunch of random pictures of Marco pouting.
I wouldn't feel bad. I'd be annoyed. I'd want money. Well, other than a lot of innuendos that you probably don't understand, it's a great game. And even if you have to pay, let's say $20, I would say it's definitely worth it. And in this day and age, playing these games, playing Super Famicom games it's real easy. I mean, besides modding your Super Nintendo, finding an adapter or buying a device like the Superboy, which I've reviewed,
Or the Retron.
or the Retron that will play Super Famicom games natively, and use all of your existing Super Nintendo controllers and that kind of thing. I mean, it's real easy in this day and age. I mean, back in 1993 when this was released, then yeah, it was crazy expensive, unless you modified your Super Nintendo, which that's dangerous. You have to remove some plastic and stuff.
Yeah, it's the tapping on the back. It's the same as the 64.
Yeah.
The only difference between the 64 and that is the way it's tapped on the back. You switch out the back of an American cart, the game works just fine.
Well, unfortunately, it's not the same because this has that rounded thing, which it fits in the slide. When you put a
Well, no,
Super
that's
Famicom
but that's
game
what I'm
in,
saying.
it fits nice.
If you cut the tab things out and you cut the hole for it a little bigger so it can just accommodate it,
Yeah.
then it'll play just fine.
There are tutorials out there for it, but we cannot condone that.
And we don't recommend it either. I mean, that's just wasting another vintage system.
I would say
go buy a Retron.
Well, if not a Retron, buy the actual Famicom. It'll Super Famicom. It'll
They run about $40-50. shipped from Japan. You just gotta wait a week or two for it to arrive.
And they're usually clean. I mean, they're usually
even if they're not really clean. I mean, it's a real durable system, especially the Japanese and European ones. I mean, it's just much better built than the American Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the games. The library, they do. I mean, there are a lot of Japanese Super Famicom exclusives, but there are also a lot of games that came out that were also released in North America, and you might find a cheaper version of it for whatever reason. Although, well, let's take Final Fantasy III for example. If you read Japanese, you can probably pick up the Japanese version for $5 to $10 versus the US version is
let's go with one
30, 40, 50.
Let's go with a couple that you don't even need to read. Like I have Super Street Fighter Turbo. I picked up for $7, and I also got Star Fox in the box for $11.
And they're the same game with some kanji.
Yeah.
And the box art is usually cool.
Yeah, way better.
Way better. And the cards do look exactly like the PAL territories because the PAL territories had they got the Super Famicom as well. Although those won't work. Those you have some issues with. But regardless, I mean, it's a great game. It's challenging. This is on normal difficulty. I don't even want to think about
What's hard,
difficulty.
yeah, exactly.
If you're one of those types that play these kind of games and are really good at them, it will be a challenge. And don't be put off by its bright pastelish colors and anime-esque kind of style. It is a lot of fun, and it's really worth the time and effort.
Well, I mean, true people that are into like Japanese shoot 'em ups will realize that a lot of the more modern ones, especially. They are very colorful. Like one of the most popular ones that, I mean, it's one of those cartridges that pushes almost $100. It's Trigger Heart Excellier.
Actually, for the Super Famicom, another one that kind of reminds me of this, which is in the same kind of design, the same kind of thing. Like I said, cutesy is not the word, but it's this very cartoonish nature. Is a game called Cotton 100%, and that game goes for a lot more than this one does. And it's kind of the same thing. In fact, there are a lot of games like that for the Super Famicom that shoot 'em ups that are of the same kind of nature, same kind of art style.
Yeah, well, that's why like a lot of the newer ones are really colorful, kind of cutesy. Like I said, like Trigger Heart, Odomedius. I mean, there are a number of them. Although we'll say most of them are on Xbox now.
I think one of my favorite parts is this bell system, the bell power-up system. It's really the unique part of this, because obviously you're shooting things. There's nothing really about that. But continuing to juggle
a bell
bells,
to get a specific power up.
That really, because you usually get, for me anyway, most times I got hit with because I was trying to get a goddamn green bell. Yeah. It's like, oh, green bell, no, purple, no, keep shooting it, green bell. And there was a lot of that. And pink eventually, because we didn't know at first, the pink was shield.
Yeah, that definitely came in handy, dude.
But this shield part right here, man, this is crazy right here. We got were they pandas? They're like pandas.
The pandas, dude.
Shooting pandas. They're endangered.
Well, they're coming right towards us.
It's like they're endangered because.
So I thank myself for that matter.
NTSC-J does not condone violence against pandas.
Or koalas. And then we're going to be coming up to this boss right there. It was actually the first time we actually failed was this boss coming up. If one of you, well, there is a live system, but when you both die, you have to start the level all over. Which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. There goes your green bell. Yeah. Oh yeah, another thing. If you get hit, you lose.
I got 3 then.
You lose your.
Yeah, I heard all hell broke loose.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, but that's what
it's
this game
fun,
is known
man.
for. And visually, it's impressive. I mean, it really pushes the Super Famicom to different new heights.
I got 4 there.
Yeah, you see, when I started this level, I had all of them. Now,
hey, those things are going to town, man. That was like the best setup.
Yeah, because those do like auto walk, and you're not controlling those. Those are kind of
Actually, anytime I move, they move. So if I went left, they went right, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I mean, they're firing.
Yeah, but they're well, if I'm holding the fire, they're gonna keep firing. But when I stop firing, is when they all came back to me.
See, there's the Great Wall of China. So it's great. I'm waiting for the boss battle here. There are other ones. There are some ports that are similar to this that are on the Game Boy, like I said, but they were only released in Japan. This game was released also in Europe, so if you're in Europe, there is a localized version for your Super Famicom. But in North America, nothing. So I would just say get the Super Famicom version because that's if the PAL region, you need a PAL TV on that.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler just to get a Japanese system.
And as you can see here, you don't need to know any Japanese. Player 1 is in English. Player 2 is in English. The options are in English. I can tell you that's a bell. Those are clouds.
Happy clouds, as a matter of fact.
The only time you're going to see some slowdown is when the boss comes up because it's a larger sprite. And this one uses some Mode 7, which is really impressive how it kind of...
Oh, this guy.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really good. I mean, it almost kind of looks like some of the later Genesis games. No, I would say it looks better too, but I'm just saying, like, if you kind of think of kind of like Vector Man.
Yeah. Oh, like, well, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really has that feel, and I mean, I think it looks great. I think it even gives better depth than even some of the more modern shooters.
Yeah. This part was a pain. It was like, oh, yay, we won. Oh, shit.
Yeah, then just all of a sudden his legs turn into mortars. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's an interesting design. Like I said, the first time we died, we had to redo this level.
So our apologies.
Sad.
Yeah, that was
sad.
And we were both teaming at the same time. That was fun as fuck.
Yep. And then it's like, do you want to continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, everyone. Well, we're gonna actually play the last level without commentary. I think it's worth it. And if you got the money, if you have a Super Famicom, if not, I'd say pick it up. This is another episode of Region Lock for Poppin Twinbee for the Super Famicom. Please subscribe and let us know what you think. Thank you.